And you all know how hard RTD was for me to be in a space that just could not have appreciation for the people who relied on their services, especially our communities with disability. But I always had a deep appreciation for you all being on those conference calls and sending a message and being like, we heard it, we know, we see it, we see you. And so thank you for always loving me, pouring into me, standing with me, loving on me, like just being in community with me, because I don't know if I would have gone on to city council had it not been for the coalition of folks who continue to love and support me. So thank you, Julie and Hillary, for presenting me with this award. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. My name is Councilwoman Chantel M. Lewis, and my pronouns are she, her, hers, and I proudly represent Denver City Council District 8, which includes East Colfax, Montbello, Central Park, Northfield, and Park Hill. My journey into disability advocacy didn't begin in a policy room. It began in my own neighborhood. Neighborhoods heavily reliant on public transit as we could not afford access to a car for our basic needs. As a child, I was aware that people held misconceptions that public transit is only for poor people, rather than acknowledging a vast majority of communities living with disabilities heavily reliant on public transit. I'm a warrior for justice. So growing up, I spent a lot of time at the library studying the civil rights movements and understanding the interconnectedness of our fights for liberation. I learned about the Gang of 19 who protested with their bodies, making a powerful statement about accessibility for transportation within the city and across America. Thinking about that history relative to the movements like the Montgomery bus boycotts taught me that people-led movements about inclusion and access to public transit has acted as a significant conduit for change, especially for those living with disabilities. My passion for disability justice moved from empathy to action for me as a student attending Manual High School here in Denver, Colorado. In elementary school and middle school, I was bused to more affluent schools with unparalleled access to advanced curriculums and resources for students with intellectual disabilities. Well, I was considered a smart kid because I tested into more advanced classes. Having an IEP and having access to programs like speech therapy and specialized tutoring is what made it possible for me to be present and engaged in here today. Thank you. Whoever you were. Thank you. These resources were instrumental in my success. During my time at Manual, our school often had books that were falling apart, incredibly outdated, and just not up to par. Students were often placed in classrooms in schools based off the stereotypes rather than our specific educational needs. There were limited programs and resources that supported students with intellectual disabilities. I observed how students were slipping through the cracks. This was not a reflection of the teachers' commitment to our students, as that commitment was undeniable at Manual High School. However, we knew more could be done. As students, we took charge and staged walkouts during school hours. We marched from our school down to our local school board and demanded more resources. We were little gangsters. We wanted to ensure that our electeds knew our names, our voices, and that we knew that we had the power. We pushed for more funding. We questioned decisions about policy and funding. We demanded more investment, and eventually, we co-founded our own nonprofit. Project Voice, which is VOYCE, Voices of Youth Changing Education, was birthed from injustice. And our primary mission was to ensure that as youth, school design was led by youth voice and intelligence. Nothing about us without us was the principle that was grounded in the work that we did as high school students. And as an elected, one of my proudest moments is co-sponsoring a bill that allowed all city employees the right to collective bargain. And there she is, I was gonna say, and Councilwoman Parody was one of the other co-sponsors, which secured a right for our employees to be able to strike. Because when city employees have collective bargaining rights, it leads to more stable and efficient public services because workers are valued, supported, and have the resources necessary to do their jobs well. Disability justice reminds me that true liberation is only possible when no one is left behind. It weaves together the struggles for racial, gender, economic, and environmental justice, showing our collective freedom is bound together, and that a more just world, one where everybody and every voice is honored, is possible. Disability justice requires us to build a world rooted in collective care, not just systems of compliance. And as an elected official, I do not take lightly my responsibility to create policies that reflect compassion, interdependence, and the inherent dignity of every single person in this world. And I mean our collective fight for justice is not slowing down anytime soon. We are currently in a politically turbulent time and are witnessing the rights of our communities, especially those living with disabilities, being stripped away. The clowns in federal office just passed a big ugly ass bill with a complete disregard for the impact this bill will have on our communities living with disabilities. 17 million people kicked off Medicaid. People will die, all to benefit greedy billionaires. Shame. Shame. My question for each of you is, will you choose to fight or will you choose to fold? Will you join the fight for our collective liberation, or will you fold and be complicit because you believe this isn't your problem, or you just want to be nice, like many of my colleagues on City Council? If you've ever asked yourself, what can I do? Start by centering the experiences of people living with disabilities, amplifying their leadership, and being a partner in the fight ahead. Work to understand the interconnectedness of our movements and be in solidarity with one another. And I mean real solidarity. I don't mean none of that fake shit, that symbolic shit. I don't play that shit. And please remember to take care of your bodies, your minds, your spirits. Check on your neighbors and your coworkers to see how you can be an accomplice in their ongoing fight. Remember, there's power in numbers. Not one of us alone can create the liberation we want to see in this world. When we work as a collective, we remind electeds that the people have the power. I'm an elected. The people have the power. You have the power. And so thank you to the Colorado Cross Disability Coalition for this award. I'm honored and excited to be a partner in a future fight, because there will be many fights. Annoying, right? Thank you to everyone for being here. I love y'all real big. And remember, fight, don't fold. Fight, don't fold. Fight, don't fold. Fight, don't fold. I love y'all so big. Thank you.